walk into the room about 10 minutes late. The door is heavier than you expected, and it makes a sound when it closes, a small flat thud that seems to you to land right in the middle of every conversation. And for a moment, you're certain of it. Everyone looked. Everyone saw you coming late, saw you fumble the handle, saw the jacket you weren't sure about, and the small stain on your shirt you noticed in the car and couldn't fix. So you find a spot near the edge of the room. You hold a drink, mostly so your hands have somewhere to be. And for the rest of the night, some quiet voice in you keeps narrating, wondering what they thought when you walked in. Whether the thing you said an hour ago came out wrong, whether your laugh was too loud or not loud enough. You leave a little early, and later, lying in the dark, you replay it, not the good parts, the small humiliations, the pause that lasted too long, the name you forgot. You wince at the ceiling, certain that somewhere out there someone else is replaying it too. But here's a strange question. Tomorrow, when those same people wake up, how many of them will think about you at all? Not unkindly, not cruelly, just how many will think of you for even a single second? The discomfort you just felt has a name. Psychologists call it the spotlight effect. The deep, stubborn sense that we are being watched, examined, and remembered far more than we actually are, as if we move through life under a beam of light, an audience trailing behind us, watching every stumble. And it would be one thing if this only cost us a few awkward evenings, but the spotlight doesn't switch off when you leave the party. It's there in the question you don't ask because it might sound stupid, in the outfit you don't wear, in the idea you keep to yourself in the meeting, the hand you don't raise, the message you write and delete. Slowly, quietly, over a lifetime, the audience you imagine begins to decide who you let yourself become. So the real question isn't whether the spotlight feels real, it does. The question is anyone actually watching? In the late 1990s, a group of psychologists set out to measure exactly that, to find in real numbers the gap between how much we think we're noticed and how much we really are. What they found is almost unreasonably freeing, but to get there, they first had to embarrass some people on purpose. At Cornell University, psychologist Thomas Gilovich and his colleagues ran what is now a famous study. They brought a student into a lab and asked them to put on a t-shirt, chosen to be as embarrassing as possible. On the front was the face of Barry Manilow, a singer the students found deeply uncool. Then they sent that student, wearing it, into a room where others were already seated, filling out forms. The participant walked in, sat for a few moments, and was led back out. Now the question. Before being told anything, the student had to guess. Of the people in that room, what fraction actually noticed the shirt? Put yourself in that chair. You just walked in wearing the thing you're most self-conscious about. How many noticed? Half the room? More? On average, they guessed that about half of the people had noticed. The real number was under a quarter, and many couldn't recall the shirt at all. The spotlight the student felt burning on them was, for most of that room, never even switched on. And it held up, again and again. Even when people wore a shirt they were proud of, they still overestimated how many would notice. We are simply consistently wrong about the size of our own audience. And there's a stranger layer still. We don't only overestimate how much others see on the outside, we overestimate how much they can see on the inside. Your nervousness before you speak, the crush you're hiding, the lie you just told, it feels written across your face in bold letters. It almost never is. They called this the illusion of transparency. As Gilovich and Savitsky describe it, the spotlight effect is people's tendency to overestimate the extent to which their behavior and appearance are noticed and evaluated by others. We are each the permanent center of our own experience, and we quietly assume we hold that same place in everyone else's. And this is the heart of it. You have never once stepped outside your own perspective. You are the single character who appears in every scene of your life, the one whose every flaw you've studied in the mirror, whose every misstep you've replayed in the dark. Of course, you assume you're being watched closely. You are watching yourself that closely, but everyone else is the main character of their own story, just as consumed by their own entrance, their own stain, their own remembered pause. The spotlight you feel isn't really attention, it's a reflection of your own. Now, this doesn't mean no one ever notices you or that no one cares. People do see us, people do love us. Some are paying real tender attention. To believe you're completely invisible is just the spotlight effect turned inside out. One more way of making yourself the exception. The truth is gentler than either extreme. You are not on a stage. You are not invisible. You are one person among many, each of them far too busy starring in their own life to sit in the audience of yours. But stay with that for a moment, because hidden inside it is a kind of permission. If the audience you've been performing for is mostly imagined, then so is the cage, the courtroom where you've quietly stood trial. Your whole life is nearly empty. No one is keeping the record you think they're keeping. The mistake you're still wincing at tonight was forgotten by everyone but you years ago. Which changes the question. It was never, what will they think? It was always, what would I do if I knew they were barely looking? Would you say the thing? Wear the thing? Raise your hand? Ask the question? Try the work you're afraid to be bad at? Walk into the room fully, as yourself? For years, you may have been dimming your whole life to satisfy an audience that never took its seats. So, the next time you walk into the room 10 minutes late and the door makes its small flat sound, let it. Glance up, if you like, at the faces that didn't turn, and understand at last that the light you felt on you all these years was never a spotlight. It was only ever the small, bright, lonely glow of your own attention. And it has always been yours to aim wherever you choose. So maybe, for once, aim it outward, at the room, at the people in it, each carrying a small, lonely spotlight of their own, because the surest way out of your own might be helping someone else feel a little less alone inside theirs.